give me a moment's peace and take out the trash.
We pay taxes for people to come and take the garbage.
Hey, listen, Greenie, no more sneaking rides to the junkyard.
Yeah, man. Take a taxi when you want to go to the junkyard.
Hello and welcome to Hot Trash Unlimited, the show where me, Caleb,
and me, Joe,
talk about movies and decide whether or not they are hot trash. We are joined today for a second time on the podcast by our friend...
Oh, Alex. I didn't realize I was introducing myself. It's like 2 seconds of dead air, though. I mean, it's fine.
Oh, I cut so much dead air.
Cut a lot of dead air.
Oh, it's basically most of what we cut. Well, I think you cut breaths, too.
Yeah, I cut a lot of... I cut a lot of... Yes.
The deep sign that will come when Alex begins to talk about what we saw this week, which
I can talk about the deep sides.
Alex, what did we see this week?
We saw Doctor Strange.
Dr. Sheep.
Dr. Sheen.
We
Professor Slumber.
We saw Poppy Obi-Wan in the Overlook Hotel. No, but we have seen Dr. Sleep by the legendary, the magical, the obsession of my Octobers, Mike Flanagan.
Specifically Octobers. No other time of the year whatsoever.
You're magic. Like me.
I don't know about magic. I always called it the Shining. The world is a hungry place. A dangerous place.
These people, they hurt people like us.
These empty devils, they'll eat what shines.
Alex, you were going to dip early. Do you want to get into your feelings about this movie before I explain my long and torrent relationship with Mike Flanagan?
I wasn't necessarily going to dip early. I just probably won't talk this entire time.
Let's get into Dr.
My brain's
Sleep
just
stuff
dead,
first,
but,
and then you can go into your Mike Flanagan abusive relationship.
Are you sure? Because both are going to be very long.
That's fine.
Synopsisize me, Joe.
Okay. Hey, y'all remember The Shining? Because Mike Flanagan sure does. This is a sequel to The Shining. I have not seen this movie. Preface. The Shining, not Dr. Sleep. I did see Dr. Sleep, unfortunately.
Yeah, wait. So I want to know, how lost, were you actually?
Oh, my Lord.
Okay, because,
that first hour?
Because I've seen the movie twice, and so I know it, fairly well. For me, it was, easy to pick up on stuff, even that, didn't seem obvious to me.
I kept leaning
and so,
over.
I was just wondering what was going on in your head, that entire time.
It became a running joke throughout the movie where I'd just lean over to Caleb and go, hey, is that Fridge from The Shining? Or something along those lines.
I heard a few of those for, a while.
They picked up towards the end again.
Well,
yeah. The end dives into it very hard.
Yeah, and that's the kind of disappointing thing, is that this is a good continuation of, Danny and the themes of, alcoholism from the first one. But then it just goes into, you remember the blood elevator? It's the blood elevator.
You remember when they kept getting lost in that maze?
The maze is back.
Oh, with those very specific quick shots.
Hey, you remember the axe? The fireman's axe?
Oh, hey, it's back in the case for some reason.
Hey, you remember the most famous shot of the movie? In case you didn't, we're going to recreate it real quick.
You remember the ghosts, except we're going to leave out the weirdest and most interesting ghost. They didn't put the dog man in here.
There's a dog man?
There is a part where, I think it's Shelley Duvall, is running through the hotel, and she sees this door, and it's this guy sitting on a bed, and kneeling before him is a man in a dog suit. And they didn't put it in.
All right.
Dude, you know what's weird? I remember that scene, but I don't remember what he looked like.
I just want the next Stephen King movie we see to also have a naked old lady, because we're 2 for 2.
Yeah, but the one from it was clearly aping off of the one from The Shining. But we still haven't really fully synopsized this.
You go first. I can't explain this movie because I didn't understand what was going on for the first hour.
All right, so this picks up after The Shining. Danny is dealing with all the ghosts who are coming back and trying to eat him. So he's talking to Scatman Crothers, and he tells him to make boxes, and he does. And it seems like things are going well, but then we cut to him, or should I say we cut to Obi-Wan?
Yes.
Who is stealing money from a crack addict. And then...
Okay, what was on the bed? Was it weed?
I thought
There was coke somewhere.
Okay, no,
There was a
coke-
lot
yeah,
of
there was a
cocaine
coke.
somewhere.
No,
I was like, this is definitely a
they
Stephen
wake
King
up.
thing.
They wake up. They're naked. We get a glimpse of his booty,
Mm-hmm.
but he looks at the bed. He's like, "Oh, like."
I think. Oh, it's flies because he sees flies when they're going to die.
Okay,
Oh,
Yeah.
nice touch, Mike Flanagan.
solid choice. Very proud.
Then he goes to a town in New Hampshire. He meets up with a dude from Hobbs and Shaw, who
Vaguely Samoan character.
yeah gets him into
Oh,
A&E.
that guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was wondering who you were talking about.
Gets him into AMA, gets him into an apartment with a plot convenient chalkboard. And then 8 years later, after he talks to Gerald from Gerald's game, he's doing well. He's helping pass old people on, and he has made a psychic friend in a young girl with immense powers. All the while, Rebecca Ferguson and her
Rose the Hat.
Rose the Hat,
You will refer to her as such.
who may
Not
or
her
may not
slave name.
Rose the Hat, who may or may not be Irish, depending on the scene.
Oh my god.
And her band of
Not.
yeah, they're called the Knot. They're like psychic vampire people, and the basic gist is they're chasing down the special girl, and Danny has to help her and face the shining demons
Once more.
the ghosts in his brain.
But this time it's not metaphorical. It's a very real, tangible thing in this movie.
So is that one of the things that bothered you the most?
Oh, yeah. Oh, big time. I mean, like, if you want to go into that, there's just so much in just all of that I hated. I mean, I hate, like, the whole, like, breathing thing and, like, breathing in dead people or whatever. It was just the goofiest thing. It looked awful.
I don't like the movie either. I don't necessarily agree or disagree with that point.
Just, yeah.
That was one of the things where I was just like, okay, that's what this movie does. Okay, I guess so.
Yeah, like, I mean, it was goofy. That's
Yeah.
just what I just don't like about it. It irked me.
I was thinking that throughout. You know, the strength of The Shining is that it is completely up in the air.
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Completely psychological.
Who knows what any of that stuff is? I'm not sure Stanley Kubrick did. And I think that's part of the beauty of it. This, though, if you're going to do a sequel, you kind of have to tackle some of that stuff. Especially since the sequel is derived from a sequel book, and the book is not as metaphorical as the movie. Like, the book is just, or it is metaphorical. It is alcoholism. But, like, the movie can be alcoholism and then a billion other things.
And also the demons in my head. So, you know, the movie is a sequel to the book, but visually a sequel to the movie is apparently what they said.
Well, there's a book sequel, right?
Yeah, there's
Or is
also
it just
there's
one long book?
No.
It is a
there
book
is a book
sequel,
sequel.
and the movie is based off of the book sequel.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But there are enough differences in the movie version that, like, because I'm pretty sure.
For instance, the Rooster Teeth sponsorship.
Well, I'm pretty sure
Wait, what?
that the hotel burns down at the end of The Shining.
Yeah,
And
I think
so,
it does.
like, they're clearly having their cake and eating it too, which is fine. I haven't read the book because it's a Stephen King book.
Performances? Question mark.
I feel like every time I open my mouth, I'm gonna go on a long rant. So y'all
You're talking
talk
about acting
first.
performances.
Yeah. I think
I'm very
everybody's doing
iffy.
like fine with what they're given.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously an issue with the writing. There were some times where, like, I heard Ewan's voice come through a little bit. Not so much in the middle, weirdly enough, but in, like, the beginning.
What, accents wise?
Yeah. It was like a tad.
Okay.
Compared to the, like,
he had certain moments.
Compared
Rebecca
to Hat
Ferguson,
Girl.
yeah. Rose
she
the
had
Hat.
it bad. She was just straight up a different accent every scene.
I know. I wasn't. It was distracting to the point where I was like, okay, they're clearly like a band of merry travelers who have been around for a while. So I can take them having an accent because they don't have to necessarily be American. Yeah. But it just didn't matter. It didn't matter what scene she was in. She was like, I'm going to do over this voice.
I have a no prize for this. Okay, so she's originally from Ireland, makes sense. But now that she's been in America for hundreds of years, she has adapted her accent. That happens with people in shorter amounts of time.
Yes.
It's a dumb no prize, sure. But I think it's more forgivable than Ewan's, which does come out at very odd times.
Rose the Hat's pretty entertaining. I don't know what is her game for the most part.
She was better than the others, I think, simply because, like, you know, she was actually written into stuff. Like, I was wondering for most of the movie how they were gonna do with like 12 people or whatever they had.
That's another part I don't like.
Kill them off. That's
wait,
what
you don't
they do.
you don't like the killing scene?
Oh no, the killing scene is great. I just think it's like,
That was
we've
the
had
one
an
time
hour
I
and a
got
half.
excited.
Oh yeah, we've had an hour and a half of movie. Still don't know what's going on with these people, and they're dead now. I think Abra's the worst.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think she is. I don't
That's
know
fair.
if it's her fault.
Okay, prop comedy moment real quick. Hold on.
What?
Is he getting a hat?
Wait, what is this?
I don't know what's going on.
It's an audio-only podcast. Why do you have prop comedy?
Let me open up my tome of notes on Mike Flanagan's career. Here we go.
Welcome to Librarian ASMR.
Point 197. Mike Flanagan should not, but continues to work with child actors. He has never had a good child performance in his movies, yet they keep showing up. I love you, Mike Flanagan, but why?
That was a good bit. That was better than I thought you were
All
doing.
the kids were
That was
actually
good.
awful. Now that I think about it, they were all awful. I could
How
was
dare
like-
you? Number 19 was a shining performance.
I
no
mean-
pun intended, but there it is.
And you said you weren't going to add anything to the episode.
But I'm here.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those performances where like they're clearly directing kids like adults because they only know how to direct adults.
Mm.
I actually think number 19 was okay.
He screamed pretty well.
Yeah, and that's
Him walking
True.
next to corn wasn't great.
No, but hey, he sounded terrified.
Oh yeah.
And like
for sure.
that's hopefully a hard thing for a kid to play. So yeah, props where they're due.
Abra was just awful.
Oh yeah,
Awful.
Nope.
I feel like she thought she was playing a superhero.
Well, and I think her character does think that. I think, she obviously has an obsession with magic, and she refers to her thing as magic. She has the ruby thing. Do you want to talk about that? And then I'll talk about why I think that's a good thing.
Wait, the ruby thing?
So you remember in the 2011 time frame at the beginning when it's like 4-year-old her?
Yeah.
And there's a part where they kind of zoom out to her nightstand and there's like an action figure on the table.
Yeah, I saw the action
and they
figure.
focused on it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was like, I recognize that thing. That is like an actual property.
Oh, that was an actual thing.
That's an actual thing.
Did you notice it was a poster on her wall?
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
They got to 2019. There's a bunch of Ruby posters. That show I got obsessed with for like a month. It's a Rooster Teeth show.
Oh, that's what you were talking about.
Yes.
Huh.
And then when she goes into Rose the Hat's mind and she has the green wig, that's the character. That's a character from the show.
That's what that was?
Yes.
Oh,
It's
I was
weird.
so lost. Yeah.
Well,
I got completely lost. Wait, when she didn't have the eyes?
Yeah. I mean, she has the character has eyes, but the wig and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think.
Hated that.
All right, Mike Flanagan, let's have her sit down again.
Listen up, Mike.
So you do great things that I think you don't see through all the way. One of these is that, like, I think this is a really good character moment. It shows that she is using
I can see what
this
he was
idol
trying to
as
do.
an avatar. Like, if someone tried to come into my mind as a kid, I would have pretended to be Batman or Yoda or someone
Yoda
like
for
that.
you.
It would have been Yoda, but I wanted to show different examples. But yes, it would have been Yoda. I like the subtlety of it. But there are a lot of people who don't know what Ruby is.
Oh, yeah.
I am raising my hand right now.
Arguably, a lot of people who are going to this because they like The Shining don't know what Ruby is.
I am the 1% in that theater where I was like, hey, Ruby. And I don't usually notice set design like that.
Well,
because it wasn't set design.
Well, no, it is set design. It just happens to be good set design. He doesn't contextualize it quite well enough for the demographic of the audience.
Weird.
That's
man.
putting it so nicely. It made no sense whatsoever.
But you also don't know what Ruby is.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
I'm hoping Rooster Teeth got a fat paycheck out of that. Maybe not a fat one, but a solid one.
Alex, do you have more ranting to do?
Should we just skip to the third act?
No, I have a lot more.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy.
But I'm wondering
so I
if
gotta
we
keep
can
it in the first two.
See, no, you can go all over, but I'm wondering if you can. Your rants can naturally segue into my.
Rose the Hat getting yeeted out of her dream
don't know
is
if-
hilarious.
We getting what?
Yeeted out of her dream, where she tackles her own body.
That was straight up just a shooting star meme without the music. That was amazing.
Mike
There's
Flanagan.
gonna be an edit of that in like 3 weeks on YouTube.
Mike Flanagan, point number 3.
Third.
The third point. Mike Flanagan, don't use special effects ever. They're never good. And you know, I kind of respect this. I don't think he cares if they're good or not. I think he's just like, this is what I need to do for this part of the movie. I care about the characters and the horror. Like, this is just a means to an end. He treats special effects the way George Lucas treats people. They're just a means to an end.
Could have said Stanley Kubrick and really tied it together. Did you notice when they were in the hotel, Obi-Wan's holding the axe and it's just such a clear green screen shot where it's like, here's that layer where we just popped him right there on the steps.
I actually didn't notice that, but I think it's solely because I was distracted by how big the axe handle was. It was comically big. I don't know. I mean, I haven't held many axes. It might be normal. It looked huge. It was like half the size of his body.
He had a very wide stance with it.
Yeah. I mean, he was also doing like a power stance. But
you have to assert dominance in your psychic battles of will.
The one thing that immediately comes to mind, and it's not a rant, it's more of just like something I thought while in the movie theater. They are in like an absurd number of states throughout this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
All of them.
There are, I mean, not literally, but yeah.
Well, we are at least in Colorado,
Florida.
Iowa, New Hampshire, Florida,
Massachusetts.
And think of all the ones they have to drive through to get to those places.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Not Maine, surprisingly.
So I like The Shining. I would argue that it's possibly the best horror movie ever made.
People would agree with you. On the top of many lists.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that's a controversial statement at all.
Listen, guys, I got kind of a wacky opinion here.
Yo, hot trash, hot take right here, guys. And I don't care at all how they make a sequel out of it, because who cares? It's 30 years later. The Shining's still going to be The Shining. Let's try new things, right? And I feel like for the most part, this does a good job of advancing that story. And I think that this is Mike Flanagan's best movie. I don't like most of his movies, so that's not saying a lot, but I feel like there is some just quality stuff here. Most of the stuff with Danny dealing with his alcoholism is really good. I think that they have some creative uses of psychic powers in this that are interesting. I really like the scene where Abra has been captured by the crow and they're in the car and he's kind of laying out his philosophy. I think that's really interesting. I really like Rebecca Ferguson's performance. Irish accent or no, I think she's really dynamic. She also fulfills number 1 on the Mike Flanagan checklist, the dark-haired lady of indeterminate age, which is in every single one of his films. It's like Hitchcock with blondes. This is Mike Flanagan's thing. But Mike Flanagan always plays with me in just the cruelest ways. I'm all on board for you, Mike Flanagan. I want you to succeed. Please keep making movies. This bombed, but please, you don't need money to make movies. You've proved that. This movie is paced so poorly.
Oh my! Why does it need to be 2.5 hours?
It doesn't.
It doesn't need to be 2.5 hours. I got your answer right there for you.
I'm just saying.
The first hour, my head was melting.
I looked at my phone because I thought it'd been like an hour and a half, and it had been 48 minutes.
Yeah.
You cannot direct children, as we have previously discussed. I feel like while you have interesting ideas, a lot of the times you can't tie those down to an interesting reality. I also think that you should never make a sequel to a movie you appreciate again. Because, oh my word.
You appreciate The Shining just a little bit too much.
You know, at the beginning, I'm like, okay, this is going well. And then you start to show your true colors with the scene in the office with Bruce Greenwood. I'm like, why are you in the office from the Overlook Hotel? What symbolism is that? None, because guess what? There's no clear symbolism in The Shining. That office has been analyzed to death. It is the foundation of so many of the Shining theories. But guess what? No one really knows what it means because it's The Shining.
But Mike Flanagan does.
But like, does he?
Master
Like, what are you trying to tell me? I don't know. But I'm like, I kind of feel like you just put that in because it's a Shining reference. And then we get most of the movie and it's fine. What about a bang? We get to the Overlook. And it is just reference after reference. And guess what? Mike, I love you, but if I wanted to watch The Shining, I'd watch The Shining. This feels like...
You don't like how the end just relives a bunch of the scenes?
And I have not seen this movie, but I have a feeling it's very similar. Ready Player One has an extended sequence in The Shining, and I'm kind of getting similar vibes. No, just in the sense that this is a fanboy playing in his little cage.
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
Right, like Steven Spielberg was a good friend of Stanley Kubrick. He's like, well, let me pay homage.
The difference is it works really well in Ready Player One because everything gets referenced like that. This whole movie is built around that.
Also, maybe don't have so many members or characters that you're clearly just gonna kill off. So many of these characters are just pure
Cannon fodder,
disposal.
the character.
Yeah, no, that's what I named.
He's the nicest person in the world, therefore he must die.
I love that.
You've always understood me, right?
I love that shootout scene. That's great. I love in horror movies when we just get like very visceral physical violence. That's why in It, my favorite scene is when they beat him with lead pipes, because like it's funny to see a demon be beat by lead pipes. It's also just like satisfying to see a bunch of psychics get shot. Right? Like there's nothing they can do to those bullets. They're dead. But all those characters were clearly there to die.
I'm so confused.
And why did you leave off the dog ghost? That was the coolest ghost. This hotel full of ghosts and there are like 7 there. Okay.
Bastard.
I'm so confused on the immortal people and their goal. Their goal is to live long.
Live long and eat well.
Eat well. Let's make more of these people instead of eating them.
Well, they're trying to build a community.
Well, but
they're a cult.
Well, how would they?
They all have to drink the Kool-Aid.
How would they make more people?
Well, they're doing what they did to that blonde girl.
They
in
took
the first
blonde girl for some reason because she was
because,
good at seducing men, I guess.
Yeah, she was useful to their knot.
And then, am I to believe that in all these years that these people have lived, no one's attacked them or anything? Well, Obi-Wan and Samoan were the first people to do it.
No one's crashed their car and died.
Yeah. Their RV camper hasn't come into an unexpected roadblock and hit a deer, maybe.
Literally any possible way,
yes.
A possible way that an outside force could have killed them,
yes.
just hadn't in like 3,000 years.
Well, I mean, I think the movie leaves room open for those possibilities. It doesn't show us because that would be boring if it went through every contingency with these characters.
I don't need... We're pretty good at living long and eating well. But then a simple gunshot is all it takes.
Oh yeah, they are people. They're not the ghosts. They are people.
Yeah. But are they? Because Mike Flanagan didn't answer if they were or not.
Oh, they definitely are. They're definitely people.
I mean, yeah, they're mortal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
It's just that they shine and they've figured out how to, hack the system.
Why did Danny die at the end?
Because the cycle continues. Right, like Scatman Crothers died to save him, and I
got it after the fact when they literally started the cycle over.
Yeah,
I didn't understand why this is the end of Danny's personal quest.
Well, it's him confronting his demons. It's him destroying them. But is he destroying them? Because
they're back. Now just Abra has them.
Also, I have to say, I'm not going to be a purist when it comes to The Shining, except when I want the dog ghost in. But the lady, I very rarely get scared in horror movies. The naked old lady creeped me the heck out the first time I saw it. Because
in The Shining or in this movie?
In The Shining.
Okay.
Because of how it's shot. Like, it's how it's shot and how it's presented. Because it holds off on it's an old, creepy, decaying woman. Right? In this one, we see her so much that I kind of just be like, okay, there you are again. And plus, we just saw her in it, so it's kind of funny. Yeah. But like when you see her at the end and she goes in, she just looks so happy. It's I get a new friend. I'm not an evil ghost. I helped you all along.
Finally a visitor. Ever since my grandkids stopped visiting.
It's like one of the 4 times I've gotten scared at a movie, and Mike Flanagan decides to take that away from me. Hey, but to be fair, one of the other 4 times was in one of his movies, so I guess he does. I guess like
Mike Flanagan, give it. Mike Flanagan, take it away. The recasting.
Yeah,
yeah.
I liked it.
I liked it too. I was a little confused in the beginning when it was just Danny, because like I guess they just shot it like the exact same way. A lot of it looks like they almost just like cleaned up the footage, or at least that's what I was questioning at first.
Some of it did.
And then I realized, oh no, they just shot it like literally the exact same way.
Whenever you see a face, I think that's kind of when it changes.
I meant specifically like while he was riding the tricycle.
Yeah. Which also, it's really cool to just see how far film has come, or that was a revolutionary shot in Steadicam when The Shining came out. And now it's like,
normal.
We see that all the time.
Yeah, I liked it. I'm glad I guess, Mike Flanagan doesn't have money, so that's why we didn't get a bunch of de-aging going on.
Or he just decided it was a better call, which I think it
is a better call because I'm tired of the gimmick of de-aging already.
Like, sure, that guy doesn't look exactly like Jack Nicholson, but it works for the scene.
I told Caleb this story. So the character's name is Jack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack.
Coincidence.
Jack shows up. They're not showing him for a while. I was like, oh, I guess he's talking to his dad. And then he shows up and he's in a suit and they're like, I'm Lloyd the bartender. And I was like, oh, I guess there's a character named Lloyd the bartender, and he just so happens to look like Jack Nicholson.
That's a very famous scene from the first Shining, because it's just like he's encountering something that's not like overtly crazy, I guess, and he's just talking to this one guy at the bar.
But does it look like him?
No. It's
Okay.
a completely different guy, but it's like he's taken Lloyd's place.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I guess he just looks like the bartender. I was like, I thought it was Jack.
He looks completely different.
Yeah. Well, because he doesn't look like Jack Nicholson enough.
Yeah,
that I got what they were trying to do
this for a little bit.
Yeah,
though.
it's like he kind of looks like Jack Nicholson. They certainly tried on the casting, and I think
the eyebrows.
I think the guy has some of like his mannerisms and vocal things down, but like he's not Nicholson. He's Nickelodeon, right? Like he's diet Jack Nicholson.
Can that please just be my new like scale or spectrum for anything?
He ain't Nicholson, but he is Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon to Nicholson. Where does this lie?
The Shelley Duvall one, I don't think was. I think that was distracting, but that's because Shelley Duvall is such a unique, like looking and performing actress. The Scatman Crothers one was absolutely great. This feels very Stephen King in a way that a lot of his adaptations don't. I can feel the way his mind works and like the formulation of these characters. I don't know how accurate this is to the book, but I found that to be interesting.
You're a regular old Dr. Sleep, aren't you?
Number 37 on the Mike Flanagan checklist. Subtlety. Where is it? Should I get into my torrent love affair with Mike?
Yeah,
Flanagan?
Before we give a rating, sure, go for it.
All right, y'all. So a few Octobers ago, I was in film school. I was wanting to like brush up on horror because I hadn't seen a ton of it.
I'm sorry, horrors?
Horror. I came up with this plan. I came up with a list of 30 horror movies I wanted to watch in October, leading up to Halloween, where I would watch another horror movie that I liked, probably The Shining. I ended up not doing that because I didn't get through all 30. But that kind of created a tradition where I made a Halloween watch list and I went through. That first year, 2 of the films on there were unknowingly both Mike Flanagan movies.
Oculus and Ouija.
Oculus and Hush.
Oh.
So I watched those, and I had a surprising experience with both of them. I was like, okay, I really like the concepts behind this and the ideas, but something made it fall flat. And then I realized, oh, this was the same director. Interesting. And then I noticed, oh, wait, he has a movie out right now, Ouija Origin of Evil. So I went with my friend, and by this time I was beginning my interest, and Ouija just kind of brought it full circle into a deep something for Mike Flanagan. And ever since then,
don't know what it was, but believe me, it was deep.
I just have to say, y'all, I've seen probably like 7 Mike Flanagan movies. I've definitively liked one in the sense that like, this one's good. I enjoyed it all the way through. It's competently made. I will never watch this again because it does not interest me in the same way that every other Mike Flanagan movie does. That was before I wake. Yeah, sure. Go ahead and watch those. If you're going to watch a Mike Flanagan movie, it's either going to be this or Dr. Sleep. But guess what? I'm going to be sitting down with Ouija Origin of Evil again because, guys, he is a director who... He's not a bad director. He's made good things. From what I've seen of House on Haunted Hill on Netflix, it's really good. He did a good job.
Hill House.
But man, guys, when he gets stuff wrong, he gets stuff so wrong. And when he gets stuff right, it's so interesting. And I'm rooting for him. I'm cheering. It's like he's my child, right? Like, man,
go Mike Flanagan, go.
Man, he's playing baseball, and I really want him to hit a home run. He does it. He's holding
It's
the
a bunt.
He's holding the bat. He's holding the bat upside down, and he's facing the wrong way. And he's afraid of the ball, so he flinches every time it comes towards him. But man, he swings for the fences, and I appreciate that. And I say all this, and I feel guilty because one of these days I really do want to sit down and talk to Mike Flanagan because I have a lot of respect for how he keeps making movies. How he's just a dedicated filmmaker, how he started in like making stuff on a DSLR and like build his way up to having deals with Netflix and making movies with Ewan McGregor. In terms of just like the grind, he's a guy who I have a lot of respect for. And I think he makes a lot of interesting creative decisions. I would love to talk to him about like his shots, about like how he uses geography of like spaces in his film. But guess what? I'm afraid that he'll hear this one day and he'll be like, no, this guy just like craps on all my stuff. But more, I'm afraid that he'll hear this and be like, and then go about his day and never think of me again. Notice me, Mike Flanagan. Notice me. That's my Mike Flanagan story.
All right. So hot trash or not? Caleb.
I hold my turn.
Bad.
Awful. Genuinely horrible.
I think I love this movie.
Oh no. I couldn't tell your reaction coming out of the theater. You had the biggest grin on your face, but then you kept complaining about stuff.
Understand
Which
that.
has also been him during this podcast this entire
I know.
time, to be fair, but
Understand, this has been the last 4 years of me with Mike Flanagan, guys. This is the most Mike Flanagan experience I've had with a Mike Flanagan movie. This is peak Mike Flanagan. This is why I say it's his best movie. Besides Before I Wake, this gets closest to being the best movie he's ever made. And it's better than Before I Wake because I actually want to watch it again. But it also has all of the problems with Mike Flanagan movies. And I kind of love it. It's kind of become a sick, twisted, sadistic thing for me. Guys, I think what I'm saying is that I need help.
Welcome to Mike Flanagan Anonymous.
You two are my best
8
friends.
years
You guys
later,
got to
you'll come
help
out
me
on
here.
I'm 8 years sober of Mike Flanagan movies.
No.
Caleb, we
No,
love
when
you.
I-
We support you. All right, we're gonna get you through this. We're
When
gonna
I-
get you some help.
When I go back to the AMC that I saw Ouija Origin of Evil at, and I go up to the bar, Mike Flanagan's gonna be there, and he's gonna pour me a whiskey, and I'm gonna chug it down.